Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. And this was Raw's go home show for Stomping Grounds, which is this Sunday. And before I start the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier, I reviewed Toy Story. Because this week I'm going to review the Toy Story films from the first film up until Toy Story 4, which comes out this Friday, which I'm going to check out on Friday. So be on the lookout for my reviews of the Toy Story films. The Toy Story 2 review I'll possibly do maybe tomorrow. So that'll be up. So if you guys haven't checked out my review of Toy Story that I uploaded earlier, go check it out if you haven't seen it. So on to the Monday Night Raw review, and I thought going into Raw tonight, I thought we were in for another shitty show for the week, but surprisingly, I thought Raw tonight. I thought it was a decent show. Wasn't great or perfect by any means. It looked like WWE did something different with Raw tonight. But I thought it was a decent show. I never would have thought I would say that this year. Finally, we got a decent Raw for this year. Never thought I would say those words, that Raw was decent. But let's get on with the Raw review. So Raw opened up tonight. We had Elias in the ring. And he was saying how earlier today he talked to, I guess, a local friend on why he wanted to move to LA. He said to Elias that he is garbage and he wants to surround him with people in LA who are garbage. Just Elias, just talking about that, Elias' shtick. And Elias goes on to say that he's here tonight because he was invited by Baron Corbin. Elias goes on to say that he is the special guest referee for Sunday. And so we had Seth Rollins come out of nowhere. He comes into the ring and he hits Elias with the chair. And that was basically the main focus of tonight's Raw, was Seth Rollins going around with the chair, dismantling stars who answered to Baron Corbin on, who would be the special guest referee for their match at Stomping Grounds on Sunday. So any superstar that Baron Corbin talk to try to be the special guest referee, Seth Rollins end up attacking them with the chair. So that's what Seth did to Elias. And so Seth gets on the mic. He ends up saying that after everything he went through with Brock Lesnar, he is done playing games. Seth says he gets it. Corbin has to find a referee before Sunday. And he says, this is a message for anyone considering that position. He says, if you side with Baron Corbin, the chair that he is holding in his hand is what awaits you on the other side. And so Seth says to choose wisely. And this is what I really liked. This is why I'm like, good that you all did this to Elias, because he is boring. That's why I call him Borelias. So the Miz end up coming out, gets in the ring. Elias is still in there. Miz delivers a skull-crushing finale to Elias. Then Bobby Lashley came out, ended up spearing Elias. And during this, I was really liking this. So Cesaro came out, and if you remember Cesaro last week, We all thought that he injured his knee after Ricochet did the 630 off the top. Well, apparently there were reports that came out after Raw that Cesaro was fine and wasn't going to be out because of the injury. So because he moved, because they said that he moved pretty well backstage after his match last week on Raw. So Cesaro came out. He gave Elias the swing that he does. Ricochet then came out. He ended up delivering a double knee to Elias. And then the last person to come out was Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman came into the ring, ended up delivering a running power slam to Elias. So basically these five guys ended up taking down Elias. Because the reason why these five guys, Miz, Lashley, Cesaro, Ricochet, and Braun Strowman came out was because a fatal five-way match, elimination match, was taking place. So after those five guys destroyed Elias, we ended up having a fatal five-way elimination match. Ricochet versus The Miz versus Cesaro versus Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. And the match was decent. It was an enjoyable match. It was back and forth between all these guys. Of course, you have Braun Strowman doing his shoulder tackles on the outside. And Braun Strowman ended up taking down Cesaro. He ended up defeating Cesaro by putting Bobby Lashley on top of Cesaro. So Braun Strowman eliminated Cesaro first. Then Braun Strowman beat Bobby Lashley, eliminated Bobby Lashley, ended up hitting a power slam to Bobby Lashley. So Lashley got eliminated. Then we had Lashley and Cesaro. They came back in the ring. They started going at Braun Strowman. Lashley ended up spearing Braun Strowman, and that basically led to Cesaro picking up Strowman and laying out Strowman with the neutralizer. And that gave Ricochet the advantage to go to the top. Ricochet ended up hitting the 630 on Strowman. And we just saw Ricochet pinned Strowman, and Bobby Lashley and Cesaro held Ricochet down so Strowman wouldn't kick out. So Ricochet ended up eliminating Braun Strowman. And then it was down to Ricochet and The Miz. And both these guys played off well right here towards the final parts of the match. Ricochet ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the 630 on The Miz. And by the way, during this match, Samoa Joe was out there because whoever won this Fatal 5-Way match gets to face Samoa Joe for the United States Championship at Stomping Grounds on Sunday. So Ricochet ended up winning the match, ended up hitting the 630 on The Miz to score the win. So Ricochet wins, and now Ricochet will get to face Samoa Joe for the United States Championship at Stomping Grounds on Sunday. So then after the match, Joe comes in. He beats down on Ricochet. Ricochet fights back and sends Joe over the top rope. Then Ricochet ends up jumping over the top rope, taking out Joe. That's basically what happened after the match. So I have to say, this match is going to be pretty entertaining on Sunday at Stomping Grounds. Ricochet against Joe. Even though I know that they're possibly going to make Joe retain the United States Championship, even though Ricochet should hold some gold around him, because I think he really deserves it. Because Ricochet, whenever you see this guy is championship material. So I think hopefully one day they give Ricochet to put some gold around his waist. Hopefully, hopefully sometime we'll go for the WWE Universal Championship, maybe. But who knows? So, but all in all, the Fatal 5-Way Elimination match, it was a decent match. It was a very enjoyable match between these guys. Then we had Becky Lynch. She ended up coming out, and she ends up calling out Lacey Evans. And Becky was saying week after week she watched Lacey's dopey head drone on about what she deserves, but she agrees now. Becky agrees now, and next time she's in striking distance, and she'll give her exactly what she deserves. And Becky talks about doing whatever it takes to get ahead, and she'll do the crowd a favor and kick her ass all over LA. And this is what Lacey says. Lacey says nobody cares, and that Becky got it wrong. And she makes her mad because she doesn't understand. So Becky ends up saying, and Becky says, she gets it, fine. That Lacey would rather stand up there and talk as slow as possible than come down and get her beaten. And so Lacey Evans says, underneath the flawless image is a tough as nails woman who's been through things the man couldn't understand. And so Becky invites Lacey to give a little performance and carry on. And Lacey says they should make a movie about her because her entire life is quite the story. She says she's not just a lady. She's a real United States Marine, which is true. Finally, WWE is telling a little bit about Lacey Evans. She was a real Marine. She's a mother. She has a daughter. She's married. So that's just a little bit of Lacey's story outside of the ring. So Lacey says that she's a real United States Marine. She's capable of boot camp in the morning and a Coleon at night, all with dignity and grace. And she says she brings those to the ring because they're what the women's division deserves. And Becky says she knows her story, and that makes it hard to figure out why she does what she does. Sorry about that, but I was saying Becky ended up saying that she knows Lacey's story, and that makes it hard to figure out why she does what she does. And she says what she is now is nothing but a steaming pile of trash. And Lacey says WWE needs a confident, classy woman to set an example, not some nasty like Becky Lynch. And so Becky Lynch ends up attacking Lacey. She does the Bexploder to Lacey. And Becky Lynch leaves. She ends up taking Lacey's hat and punting it, from the stage, which was funny. Becky ends up actually wearing Lacey's hat while she walks up the stage. But all in all, the segment, it was okay, not great. Then we see Charlie Caruso. She was interviewing Baron Corbin. Corbin says, Elias was his pick to be the special guest referee, and what happened to Elias happened. Corbin says he's got a lot of great choices, and he will reveal it tonight on the Kevin and Sami show. So then we see Seth Rollins. He came in, end up attacking Corbin with a chair. He ends up telling Corbin that he's got some more work to do. And Seth ends up walking off. We had that. Then we got Daniel Bryan and Rowan. They came out. Daniel Bryan was here because he was part of the wild card rule. Daniel Bryan said he completely understands why the McMahons had to bring him as a wild card tonight. He says because the place sucks, meaning Monday Night Raw and the city of Los Angeles. Daniel says Los Angeles is the smog capital of America and is filled with ignorant, impotent people. He says tonight he will excite us by defeating Seth Rollins. So it was a little promo that Daniel Bryan cut. Then we had the War Raiders, or the War Machines. Hanson and Rowe. So yeah, the War Raiders. So they had a match. It was against jobbers. So, but War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe, they defeated jobbers. It was a squash match, and finally they are on TV after about maybe like a month since they were kept off. So they end up defeating these jobbers with the Viking experience. So it was a squash match. Moving on. So after the match took place, we went into the crowd. The camera panned across the other crowd, and we saw R-Truth and Carmella. They were in disguises, and of course the jobbers, they started coming out to face R-Truth for the 24/7 Jobber Ninja Turtle title, and they both ran underneath the ring. R-Truth ran under the ring, and on social media, it's sort of like a point of view of when Truth was underneath the ring, and Titus O'Neil was under there. And Titus actually went for the pin underneath the ring. Truth ended up kicking out, and that's when we saw the guys end up pulling out Titus from underneath the ring, which we saw on TV. Those guys thought that it was R-Truth. And we just see R-Truth and Carmella. They just ran into the crowd while these guys were chasing them. The jobber guys, including Drake Maverick. So I had to cue I wanted to cue the Benny Hill theme, but it was just short like that. Then we saw Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, Shane McMahon, and the Revival. The Revival ended up coming in because Shane had like this private VIP lounge in the back with like champagne and food there. And during now, we had Heath Slater. He comes in. He admits to Shane that he's got kids and everything's getting tight. He asks Shane if he can get a raise. And Shane ends up telling him that it takes a lot of balls to walk in and ask for a raise. He says he has kids too. And he tells Heath the answer is no, you're not getting the raise. And he says he walked in like a man, so I'll let him walk out like one. So then we see Heath Slater. He was on the phone, I guess, with his wife. Shane ends up sending Drew McIntyre out there after him. McIntyre interrupts Slater while he's on the phone. He apologizes, saying, it kills him to see Slater like this, and that he has to do something for him. So McIntyre ends up giving Slater some money. Slater refuses, and then relents. And McIntyre then drops the money, and Slater's like, "Oh, let me pick that up for you." And then McIntyre then sucker punches Slater. He's beating Heath Slater on some road cases. And the Revival and Shane end up coming out to stop McIntyre. And what was funny was we saw the Revival, Wilder and Dawson, they pocketed the cash, which I thought was funny. So basically that was what happened. Then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They were in the ring for the Kevin and Sami show. Kevin Owens introduces their guest for the show, who is Baron Corbin. And Sami ends up telling Corbin that this is a safe place. This is a safe space, which is better than he can say for WWE in general. He says he withdraws his own eligibility from being a referee given his experiences as a referee. And Corbin says people were lining up out the street, and he picked somebody who was born to count to 3 and be the special guest referee. And so Corbin introduces the special guest referee for his match against Seth Rollins on Sunday. And the special guest referee was EC3. So EC3 ended up coming out wearing the referee shirt, uniform. Then we see Seth Rollins comes out, blindsides EC3 with the chair. Rollins was hitting chair shots across EC3's back. Seth leaves EC3 lying there. Corbin ends up complaining about Seth taking away another opportunity from an up-and-coming superstar. And he says, oh, it's back to the drawing board. And so we had the New Day end up coming out. And what was funny was EC3 was still laid out on the stage. Big E comes. He lays his jacket across EC3. And it was funny to see that. Because EC3 was still laid out. He wasn't even moving. So Sami Zayn objects, says that he saw the lineup and that the New Day are not official wild cards, and that they should leave the building. They should leave the arena. Kofi says he's the WWE champion, and that means he goes where he wants, when he wants. And he was like, "Oh, I'll bring my boys with me too." So Kevin Owens says next chance that he gets, he'll be champion. And so Kofi ends up reminding Owens of how he didn't beat him at Money in the Bank. Corbin says they might not want to join him in refereeing, but asks if they want to help him beat New Day to the back. And New Day says, "Oh, that sounds like a challenge, but they need a referee." And so the New Day end up dragging EC3 to his feet, and they were sanctioning for this to be a match, thinking that EC3 would approve of the match, which they were, which I think Kofi was on the mic. He was talking like he was like EC3. So the match got sanctioned, and that's how the segment ended. But it was meh. It was a meh segment. Anytime you see Baron Corbin, we all know with Baron Corbin, it's going to be boring. So when Raw came back from the commercial, we go into a trainer's office, and we see AJ Styles is being cleared. Of course, AJ Styles had a injury; he was out, and Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows coming to coming in like their doctor outfits to take over. Styles ends up saying that he feels good and doesn't need their brand of medicine. That he doesn't need Anderson Gallows' brand of medicine. So Styles says he's been thinking of them. He ends up telling them that 3 years ago, they debuted right here on Monday Night Raw. And that they were cool all over. He ends up putting both Anderson and Gallows over as the best tag team in the world. And he says, but they've gotten comfortable. So Styles is like, when's the last time you guys won a match or were even on Raw? He ends up telling both Gallows and Anderson that they need to get serious. And Gallows says they'll take the gloves off tonight. And Anderson says that him and Gallows got a match against the Usos. And they'll show Styles how serious they are. Yeah. The serious? No. Wait until I get to that. Wait until I talk about that. And then we had the New Day versus Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. 2 out of 3 falls tag team match. And this match itself, I'd say it was a decent match because of the New Day. Baron Corbin in there, Baron Corbin always makes a match boring. So, but New Day ended up winning the first fall. Xavier ended up rolling up Sami Zayn. And then what happened was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn ended up walking out of the match because Corbin ended up clotheslining, I think, Sami. Then Kevin Owens came in. He super kicked Baron Corbin. Owens and Sami left. So Kofi ended up getting in. He ended up hitting the Trouble in Paradise on Corbin. Scored a win for the New Day. So New Day ended up winning the match. Overall, it was a decent match, in my opinion. Then we had a backstage segment with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Alexa had a present for Nikki. It was like a paper that was rolled up inside a coffee cup. Nikki Cross ended up unrolling it. And what it was the invitation for a tag title match tonight. The women's tag team championships were going to be on the line. And so Alexa says after Sunday, they'll finally have women's champions to be proud of. Alexa then suggests that Nikki Cross to try decaf next time, since Nikki's so excited. So that's what we got tonight. Later on tonight, the women's tag team championships were on the line. The Iconics versus Alexa and Nikki. Then we had Paul Heyman. He came out. Paul Heyman said, and there was ECW chants from the crowd. Sorry about that, but I was saying there were ECW chants from the crowd when Paul Heyman was in the ring. So Paul Heyman says he's not comfortable being out here because of Seth Rollins smashing chairs all night long. He says he is not going to be the special guest referee this Sunday at Stomping Grounds. Heyman went on to say that this morning he was thinking, what do Seth Rollins and the Lakers have in common? Heyman says they both traded away their balls. He ends up saying that Seth traded away his balls for a chair. And before that, Heyman was talking about the Lakers, about like LeBron, mentioning LeBron. And so he goes on to say Seth traded away his balls for a chair because that's the only way he's man enough to fight Brock Lesnar. He says Lesnar knows how to swing a chair well and says if Seth is here tonight, which he is, and has a match, which he did, and an opponent Seth is vulnerable of, who was Daniel Bryan. And Paul Heyman says, oh, maybe Lesnar is here tonight. Or maybe not. Maybe on Sunday. Or maybe next Monday. And Heyman says he doesn't know. And we don't know. And that Seth doesn't know. So it was a pretty random segment for Paul Heyman. Then we saw Eric Young. He was backstage. Eric Young, former Sanity member, which WWE ended up killing that whole faction. So Eric Young was backstage. It was shown that he was talking to Baron Corbin. Maybe Eric Young would be the special guest referee on Sunday. So Eric Young is walking. Seth ends up coming up to him. Eric Young says to Seth that he told Corbin he's not interested in refereeing. So Seth was like, oh, I know. Seth ends up telling Eric, oh, he knows he wouldn't do anything to compromise their friendship. And then we just see Seth ends up hitting Eric Young with the chair. Chair shots to Eric Young. So that's what we saw. So Seth was making targets tonight with the chair to any opponent that Baron Corbin would ask who to be the special guest referee for their match on Sunday. So then we had the Usos versus Gallows and Anderson tag team match. Match itself, it was okay. It was enjoyable in my opinion. Usos were fun here. And Usos end up getting the win. Double super kicks to Gallows. The Usos ended up winning. Although it was an okay match, it was enjoyable. So then we saw, after that, Roman Reigns came out, got on the mic. He says, Super Showdown was not a good week for him. And that he's not going to make excuses. He ends up saying, what's going to entertain us is him whooping someone's ass tonight. So Roman ends up calling out Shane. Calls out Shane to prove if he is a man. If Shane is a man. And that if Shane will face him tonight. Of course, Shane didn't come out. Shane was on the Titantron. And he ends up saying to Roman that Roman shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed of losing to the best in the world. Oh, and before Shane ended up saying all this to Roman, we had Shane ask Mike Rome to do the annoying best in the world. You know, which is getting fucking annoying. And Shane says he won't face Roman. And the man Roman should be concerned with is his opponent at Stomping Grounds on Sunday, who is Drew McIntyre. So McIntyre ends up saying the reason he is not out there is because of Shane. And he ends up saying that at Sunday at Stomping Grounds, he will kick Roman's ass and assault him until it becomes uncomfortable. And so Roman gets out of the ring. He goes backstage. He walks through the crowd and goes backstage. He ends up taking down the Revival. And he makes his way into Shane's VIP lounge. And he ends up throwing punches. Roman ends up throwing punches at McIntyre while Shane, crawled his way to get out of there. Roman ended up driving McIntyre through the table that was there. And Shane was crawling. He was running away from Roman. Shane ended up running out into the arena. And Roman just came down from the crowd, ended up driving at Shane, tossed Shane into the ring. And Roman ended up Superman punching Shane. Then Roman ended up, hitting the spear to Shane. So Shane was laid out. Roman says to Shane, because Roman got back on the mic, he ended up saying to Shane for him to crawl to the back and to tell McIntyre that he's going to whoop his ass on Sunday. That's how the segment ended. But, it was okay. It was an okay segment. Then we had Charlie Caruso. She ended up coming to Bayley, saying about the criticism that was happening on social media about Bayley not taking a picture with the fan. And Bayley says, oh, that's all Alexa. And that she's going to take care of her. And Bayley was shown back there with Natalya and Naomi. Then we had the Iconics. They end up coming out. They get on the mic and they say they made it to LA. They say that they belong here and that they lament having to defend the women's tag team titles against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And they were wondering if there were any other tag teams available. So Billie Kay made a joke about Alexa reminding her of the Lakers, that they were champions, and that when LeBron showed up, they aren't champions now. So there was a lot, there was, they were making fun, WWE was making fun of the Lakers here, and, LeBron. So they were slamming the Lakers tonight. So then we had the match, women's tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. The Iconics, Peyton, Royce, and Billie Kay versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, this match itself, it was meh, in my opinion. We had Bayley sitting down there watching the match. She ended up getting involved. Alexa ended up getting involved. She ended up shoving Bayley. Bayley ended up going after Alexa, which led to the distraction from Nikki Cross because Billie Kay ended up coming. She ended up rolling up Nikki Cross, and Bayley ended up keeping Alexa out so Alexa wouldn't break up the pin. So Peyton, Royce, and Billie Kay win the match. They end up retaining the Women's Tag Team Championships, which I knew that they were going to retain the titles, because why would Alexa and Nikki Cross win the Women's Tag Team Championships when Alexa has the match with Bayley on Sunday for the SmackDown Women's Championship? But, there you go. Peyton, Royce, and Billie Kay retain the Women's Tag Team Championships. Then when Raw came back from commercial, we saw Alexa was trying to console Nikki Cross backstage. And she said, Bliss, and Nikki said, Bliss is right about Bayley not being who she claims to be. And Nikki Cross says, Nikki wants to be in Alexa's corner at Stomping Grounds to watch her stomp out Bayley's dreams the way Bayley did to Nikki Cross. There you go. Nikki Cross is going to be in Alexa's corner on Sunday at Stomping Grounds. And what was funny was when I said Alexa, the Amazon Echo in my living room went off, which is funny though. But we had that. And then we had Firefly Funhouse, which tonight's Firefly Funhouse, I thought was a little interesting. The last two, I'd say, from last week and the following week, didn't really care for. But this one made it interesting because there were reports saying that Bray Wyatt was possibly going to show up to Raw tonight, but that wasn't the case. So we saw Bray Wyatt. He was watering some plants, and he ends up saying, our minds, they're just like gardens. All yours needs is a little bit of water, a little bit of sunshine, and it will make your ideas grow. And he says, some ideas are full of worms, and that's no good. He says, people throughout your life will always lie to you. And he says, we all thought the earth is flat and dinosaurs aren't extinct. He says he knows what it's like to not belong, which is why he created this place where the fun never has to end. He says, people worship what they fear. Fear is power. Follow the leader. And then we see, it turned into sort of like a music video where then when they show, when Bray Wyatt was doing the Muscle Man dance from a few weeks ago, which I thought was stupid, which was cringeworthy. And then he just says, "Let me in." It just says, "Let me in, let me in." But I thought it was interesting. And it showed Bray Wyatt with the clown mask. But it was getting interesting. I thought he was going to teleport, and then after it was over, he would either be on the stage or in the ring. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. So after all the articles and rumors saying that he was going to appear on Raw, but it never happened. So, but it was an interesting Firefly Funhouse tonight. Then we saw Charlie Caruso. She was interviewing Daniel Bryan. And she wonders if Daniel Bryan will be ready for Seth Rollins' aggression tonight. Daniel Bryan said, why no one had the common sense to take that chair out of Seth Rollins' hands tonight. He says, it's okay, because when it comes to actually getting in the ring and wrestling, he's not as good. Seth is not as good as Daniel Bryan. And he says he might be a badass with the chair, but he's never beaten Bryan. So that was a little interview with Daniel Bryan. So then we had the match. Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan. This was the main event. The match itself, it was decent. This was like a WrestleMania type match that we should have gotten at WrestleMania, but why? It was on Raw. Who knows? It's WWE booking. So at first, the match ended in a disqualification because Rowan ended up hitting the claw slam on Seth Rollins on the ring apron. And so then we had the New Day come out. They ended up beating down on Rowan. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out. They started beating down on the New Day. The Revival came out. Then the Usos. And we had a brawl ensue in the ring where all these guys were taking out each other. Mike Rome ended up making the announcement that the match between Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan will restart. And it will just be one-on-one. And that everyone is banned from ringside. So then the match restarted. And like I said, it was a decent match. It was a very enjoyable match between the both of them. It was a WrestleMania worthy match. So Seth Rollins ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the curb stomp to Daniel Bryan. So Seth Rollins ends up winning. And Seth Rollins made his way up the ramp onto the stage. And then from out of nowhere, Baron Corbin comes out, hits Seth Rollins with the chair. So Corbin retaliated to Seth Rollins after what Seth did earlier in the night to him and to everybody else that Corbin was asking to be the special guest referee for the match on Sunday. So it was just Corbin hitting chair shots to Seth. Then they went back into the ring, and Corbin ended up hitting the End of Days to Seth. And that's how Raw ended. But like I said, it was a decent Raw. Never would I thought I would say that for this year. That we finally got a decent Raw for this year. When all the other Raws at the beginning of the year, up until tonight, were shit. So, yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, which will be my Toy Story 2 review. So until that video, I'll see you all later.